Wings Fly Tying video. Today we're tying a red tag, or we're gonna tie the two variants of the red tag, and we'll start with a dry one. In this case I use a dry fly hook size 12, and the thread is the Unithread 8/0 in black. We'll start by putting down a layer of thread till we're about a little longer than the point or the barb of the hook. Then we can cut off our rest piece. And now the tag, I just use some wool. This one is the one you can buy in all sewing shops. You can also buy it in the fly shops, but it's not necessary. And we'll tie it in the length of the body. And this one is a 3 strands. It's quite thick. Or for the dry one, I want to take away one strand to make it a little lighter, and that way the body is also a little slimmer. We'll tie in the 3 strands for the wet one later. And you just bring up the thread, tying down all the wool till we're about the length of the body. You should leave a third of the hook, the shank length, for hackle. And for the body I use some Pico Curl. This is just natural Pico Curl, and depending on how good quality it is, you could maybe use 1, 2, or you would maybe have to use more than that, but 3 are okay. And now a little trick to make the fly more durable is to wind the Pico Curl around your tying thread, and this way, if one of the herls break during the tying, it will not wind up, or the whole body will not wind up. It will just be wind up half a turn or something like that, so it's not a big deal. And later on, when you fish with a fly, if a teeth or a tooth gets stuck in there, it will not unwind, and you can continue using your fly even after a lot of fish. And now I'll just tie off the herl and go back a little, tidy up. You can cut this to length, the tag, and I will cut it a little less than half the length of the body. And there we have the tag. The hackle I'm using is a brown cock hackle. This one's from a neck, and I've already stripped the fibers at the bottom that we don't need, and just tie it in just in front of your body, and tie it down right up to the eye. Now we can trim away the rest piece, and the last thing to do is to wind down the hackle. I like to make some turns at the same spot to build it up a little, and then go forward each turn just in front of the previous one, and stroking back the fibers so you don't tie them down. Then 90° to the hackle and tie it in. Now it's tied down and we can cut off the excess. And then just build up a small head in front, and I'll just whip finish. 3 turns is enough. 3. Tighten up and cut off. Then you can stroke the fibers a little forward, and that's the fly finished. Put with some glue on to the head for some added security. It's not necessary, but I like to do it. And all the way around. There we go. And there's a red tag dry fly. And now we'll tie the red tag wet fly. And this time I have a Kamasan B175. And I use the same thread. It's the 8/0 in black. And we'll just put down a layer of thread to the barb of the hook, or a little past the barb, and we'll use the same tag, bright red wool, and this time I use all the strands, and we'll tie it in just past the barb of the hook, and then bring up your thread all the way till where the body should end, which is here. You just want to leave 1 or 2 millimeters for the hackle. Now I'll tie in the ribbing material. In this case it's a gold oval tencel, and then tie in the body material, which is Pico Curl, and we'll tie it in the length of the body till about the barb. And now a little trick is to wind up the herl around the thread. This makes a more durable fly, and it will not break as easily when tying and fishing. And now we want to build up the shape of the body, and this one is a little thicker than for the dry fly. And come up till about 2-3 millimeters from the eye of the hook, and then tie in the herl, cut off the excess, and tidy up a little, So, and now I'll wind up the ribbing, and 4 or 5 turns, or maybe 5, 6 is enough on this one, and you don't have to counter wind it. The thread holds the peacock in place, so you don't have to wind it the other way. And now we can just cut off the tinsel using an old pair of scissors. And there's our body ribbed, and the tag, it's half the length of the body. And this one is a little heavier than for the dry one. The hackle I'm using is a Hungarian Partridge dyed in brown, and I'll tie it in by the tip. And you don't want too much of it, or I'll just make 1, 2 turns. I like my wet flies pretty sparsely hackled, and so I'll do just a few turns and then tie it in. Then just cut off, and don't worry about all the fibers sticking out everywhere. You just pull it back and then go back just a little with your thread, building up a little head. And now what's left to do is to whip finish. 1, 2, 3 turns. Then cut off your thread. And now what I like to do is to put a drop of glue on the head to seal it off. And it makes a neat head for the wet flies. So there we have a red tag wet fly.